Hi guys, John from B&B Campers. Just going to do your handover video on your Bessecarr E410. So we're starting with the bonnet. Got your washer fluid over on the left hand side up here at the top, power steering fluid underneath there, and your engine coolant in this reservoir just here. See, the engine's cold at the moment and the level there, just there on the maximum line. That's exactly where it wants to be. Brake fluid attaches to the servo just down the back there. I'll just pop that back on. Wow, I'll do it when I've got two hands in a minute. So yeah, brake fluid attaches to the servo just down the back there. Your engine oil gets topped up through this cap just here at the top of the engine, and your engine oil dipstick is this one just here with the yellow top. Obviously it's had its full service, so that's why everything's the correct level, and obviously the oil has been replaced and things like that. Your chassis plate for this vehicle is just here, so you see there it weighs 3 tonne, so quite a way off from the 3.5 tonne limit on the standard licenses. Your air filter sits inside this box just here down at the bottom, and the only other thing really I've got to show you on these particular cabs is that your engine battery itself sits under the floor just in front of the passenger seat. So if you wanted to jump start the vehicle, you've got the positive terminal just here. So if you want to jump start, positive goes there, and your negative is just behind this little bit just here. Sometimes people put these on just to save them from rusting. So your negative terminal is this one just here. So if you need to jump start the vehicle, like I said, you've got your positive terminal there, negative down here. Right, so after that, I'll show you your diesel filling cap is this one just down here, so you need your ignition key to open that up. So that's on the near side, and also on the near side inside the passenger door you got your bonnet release lever just there. So releasing that literally just allows you to open up the bonnet, but obviously it also means that you have to have the door open to be able to open it up. So it's like an extra security thing. It means that you cannot get that bonnet open without the key, or at least having the door open. So we carry on the near side. In this lower locker, you got your fly in the way. Got your leisure battery down here. You've also got a couple of other bits in here as well. You've got your charger just in front of that there. All these other bits and pieces in here are all just stuff that we've left as part of the, you know, that it was in the van when we got it, so we'll just leave it for you. But yeah, basically this is your leisure battery. It's a good sized battery. What's that, 115 amp hour? So, you know, really good sized battery. The one that would have come with the van from new is probably an 85 amp hour, so you've got slightly more power going through there now. But yeah, basically you just cover it up. You don't need to do anything with it. Cover this back up whenever you're finished with it, and then pull these little catches over. Got one on each side, and that stops it from moving around whatsoever. Obviously you've got loads of storage space in there as well. You can put anything you want on top of that battery, by the way. It obviously just makes it a bit more difficult to get to as and when you need to, but you know, like I say, it's a perfectly good battery as we speak now, so you shouldn't really need to get to it anytime soon. The gas locker, so you've got a gas flow refillable system in here. The refillable system point is this one just here with the gas flow. I'll just put it out the right way. The gas flow symbol just there, so it shows you that's exactly where that is. A couple of the hoses inside here are, I believe, for kind of like international travel, but I'm not 100% sure. I've only ever sort of fitted them and used them over here, so that's that. So essentially you've got it all looks a little bit, let me just pull this out of the way for a minute so you can see properly. It all looks a little bit confusing when you first look at it, but it's really not. All you need to remember is you've got your on and off dials just here, so this one here for this right hand bottle and this one here for the left hand bottle. Pretty much all you need to know is those. If you want to switch them off, you go clockwise round to the right all the way down. If you want them on, you go anti-clockwise round to the left all the way up. When you turn these on, you'll notice that this little changeover thing up here will go green like it is now, rather than red. So, you know, it's all pretty straightforward stuff. Basically what it does is if you have both of these bottles on, one of them will get used up and then it will switch over automatically. between the two as and when it needs to. You will get a little sort of hissing noise, as it sounds almost like it's leaking, but it's not. That's basically, if you've got the fridge or something lit up on gas, you will hear it coming through the pipes. Like I said, there's no leaks on this this fan whatsoever as we speak. After the hab check was done literally yesterday, so you know, everything's gas tight and things like that. But yeah, so the essentials: just turn it on all the way around to the left anti-clockwise, turning it off is clockwise around to the right. Turn these off before you start driving, 100%, so important. If you had a crash for whatever reason and you know you had your gas bottles on, if any of the gas points inside the vehicle get knocked, there's just going to be constant, you know, a lot of pressure coming through, about 30 millibar pressure coming through, which is a lot actually. You have got a gas spanner down here, so if you ever needed to change these pigtails here, which are these bits that go up to the top of the changeover, you can get on those and replace them. So I'll pop that back in there in a minute. Just carry on round. Your step switch is this one just here on the left, and obviously that just brings your sort of double step out as and when you need it. You've also got a D-bar just here, which is kind of two things in one. You can either use it as just like a step in, or if you pull this lever down and pull this whole thing out, you can use it, like I say, as a step in, or you can go one more and it actually locks over, and it's almost like an extra lock for the door, if you like. You can lock it from there, and so like I say, a lot of people actually use them as like a secondary lock as well as you know, a helping hand to get in. You've got your two fridge vents at the back of the vehicle here. The actual exhaust for the fridge comes out over here on the top right hand side, so if you wanted to double check that it was definitely working, you can put your hand over this top right hand side here, and like, you know, like I say, I've got it lit up at the moment and I can feel warm air coming out through there. So that's the exhaust part of the top. The burner itself sits just down here on the right hand side of this bottom cupboard, locker, sorry. That's, you know, all you really need to know, to be fair. Toilet cassette is this one just here. You've got a fresh water flush on this particular system, so you haven't got to worry about any separate flush fluids up above it or anything like that. All you need to do is lift up on the bottom on this little yellow tab and pull the whole thing out towards you. Once you've got it out, you want to empty it out from this little bit here, pull it around and empty it out from there. And when you are emptying, you want to hold down the little yellow button at the back, which is like an air pressure release valve, and that's it. To lock these lockers up, which is very, very similar to pretty much all of the other lockers, just so you know, don't drop it on the floor, it's always helpful. The toilet cassette lockers are all the same. There's only one bit that actually locks, alright? So this top part is literally just, you can't lock that one. Key goes in, just turn it 90 degrees and pull it out. And once you've done that, you cannot push that button in anymore, and then you can't open the locker. Wastewater drain tap is this one just down here, and obviously at the moment it's open. If I close that off, it'll stop coming through. So like I said, that's your wastewater drain. Next one over is your 240 volt inlet point, so your hookup point. So if you're at home or at a campsite, wherever you are, if you have access to a hookup cable, it's always helpful if you can hook your van up. I'll explain that more inside, but if you have access to a hookup cable, it makes it so much easier to use the vehicle and so much better for the vehicle, from the motorhome side of things anyway. Boiler vent is this one just here. Again, if you've got that lit up on gas, you can put your hand either left or right hand side at the top of this vent, and you'll feel nice warm air coming out through there. When you're not using the boiler, or if you're driving or leaving it for a long period of time, you've got this little cover down here which goes straight over the top of that, over these little hooks. And the last thing, you've got your freshwater inlet, so that's this one just here. Push in and round to the right until it stops to get it to sort of go to its lock position, and then key in, turn 90 degrees, key out, and then it just spins. You can't take it out. Right, so that's the outside of the vehicle. The cab, I'll just quickly run you through a few bits in the cab. So you've got a proper Waco reversing camera. So, you know, that's, to be fair, that is the sort of the real deal, if you like. That's the, hate to say it, but the proper brand, if you like, of the reversing cameras. I mean, there's plenty out there that work really, really well, but this is the sort of, it was probably fitted from new, I would imagine, if it's got that camera on it. I'm not, you know, don't hold me to that, but I'm pretty certain it will. Right, so you've got 5-speed manual gearbox. Reverse, you need to pull down on here and over and up to the top left to get that into there. It won't go over into reverse unless you pull up on the back bit just there. Lights and indicators are on this left-hand stalk here. So you've got side lights and then main beam. Indicators obviously like that. And your flash is also from here. Washers and wipers are over on this right-hand side. Just like any other normal car, to be fair. You've got a couple of little bits. You've got electric adjusting mirrors from here. And obviously your electric windows. Hazard lights from the middle just there. You can lock and unlock the cab from inside, which is always helpful, especially when you're actually, you know, using the motorhome for what it is. If you're sleeping inside, it's helpful not to have to clamber around and try and find the keys. If you want to lock the whole van up, the cab, you just literally push that button there, and it does make it a hell of a lot easier. Single DIN stereo system. To be fair to you, I haven't actually tried using this myself, but you know, I'm sure it works. All the fan settings, so your heater settings are all down here. So you've got fan speed 1 to 4, temperature, you just turn the entire outside of that there to get that to work, and just sort of basically showing you where you want the air to go to is from the right hand side. A couple of little lights up here, you call them, you know, sort of reading lights if you like. Obviously these two front seats do swivel, so if you pull on this lever, the whole chair moves around like that, then let go of it, and then it'll clamp back in place like that. Right, I'm just going to grab the keys out just here to manage to drop them. Okay, so we'll go round onto the inside of the vehicle now. So these Bessecarrs and Swifts and things like that have all got a very, very similar design for the sort of control panels up here. Really, really nice and simple. Essentially, you've got a main on and off switch just here, and another one just in the middle, which is really important. So when I press on this, comes up fresh level on the fresh water level on the left, wastewater level on the right. So you've got 1/4 of a tank of fresh water and nothing in the waste tank. So obviously the waste tank's empty because you saw that I was emptying it out when we went around the outside. Press the button again. It then tells you your leisure battery level on the left, vehicle battery level on the right. So you've got 12.6 volts in your leisure battery, which, bearing in mind we've got lights on and things working, is very, very good. And 12.7 in the engine battery, again, very, very good. A resting battery rate is anywhere between kind of like 12 and 12.6, 12.7, I think. So that's very, very good, really. Bearing in mind there's nothing really charging them up. So that's that. If you, let me just open up this skylight a second, just show you what I'm doing to do that as well, just whilst we're there. If you want to go ahead and sort of start using your lights and things like that, you've got a main light on and off switch just here, which is just a bulb with a little cross through it. Basically, that doesn't only turn them off. So if I press it now, it will turn them off. But if I press it again, it'll allow them to come back on again. So it's like a main on and off switch for the lights. This button here does your lights, basically is your main light switch as well. So that does all your lights really. And the one above that is this light just above your head. You've also got another one, which I believe to be the awning light. Yep, so your awning light's just over there. That's on now. So if you do it in order, awning light at the top, I'll just turn that off. Light above your head, so your entrance light. Main light on and off switch. And basically another main lights on and off switch. So we'll leave the lights on now. You've then got on the left hand side your water pump switch there, so I've got that on at the moment, and as you can hear, sort of proving to you that there's no leaks or anything nasty with the water system. If the water pump switch was on like that and no taps were sort of open and running, and the water pump isn't running, basically that means that there's no sort of leaks. If the water system was leaking and your pump switch was on, the pump would kind of kick in and out, either leaking or it's got some air in the system somewhere. So just kind of proving to you, I've got the pump switch on up there, and there's, the pump isn't making any noise at all, which is always a good sign. You haven't really got to worry about this button just here. These two down here are quite important. So basically they will allow you to use your boiler or your heating. So the heating you can use, actually, I mean, what I mean when I said heating is it'll allow you to use this fan, which is part of the heating. So if you can get these two to come on straight away is always helpful. Then you'll be able to use all the other stuff, which I'll show you in just a minute. So the next thing's up here. So you've got Ultra Store on the right hand side, Ultra Heat on the left hand side. So let me just quickly run you through that. Ultra Store is the boiler, so that's your hot water, and Ultra Heat is your heating, which is this down here. All right, this whole system here is a Trumatic Ultra Heat. All right, so Ultra Heat is your heating, Ultra Store is your boiler. The boiler itself sits underneath down here. No, it must be in the wardrobe. So the boiler sits underneath this little bit of floor. I'll just get this out of the way a second. Should be better prepared for these videos, really. So the boiler is down here, so that's much better. Okay, I'm going to switch this all off for the minute, just so I can show you it all sort of coming on and stuff. So these two up here, it's a bit random how they sort of lay it out, to be fair to you, but I will try and make it, make as much sense of it to you as I can. So Ultra Store, up here, this is the way that you light your boiler up via the gas. All right, so assuming that you've got your gas switched on in the cupboard, you can literally turn down around the outside like that, and then choose your temperature. You'll hear it pretty much straight away. Light straight up, you probably heard it just then. And that's it. That is literally it. Choose your temperature around the inside, 30 to 70. If you want to switch it back off again, around the outside, and you heard it switch itself off. All right, so that's your boiler on gas. Okay. I'm just checking whether or not there's a switch for mains as well. There might not be. Oh, yeah, there is. Okay, so because this is a Bessecarr Swift Group vehicle, there's pretty much everything you can ever imagine on mains and gas. A lot of vehicles have just got everything working on the gas only, not mains. So, 9 times out of 10, if you've got one of these space heaters, it's only gas, or if you've got one of these boilers, it's only gas as well. But because it's a Swift or Bessecarr, sorry, it's got everything works on mains as well. So it gives you much more flexibility as to how you use things. So under here, you've got these two 240 volt on and off switches. Okay, the one on the left hand side there says space heater, and the one on the right hand side says hot water. So the reason that the space heater one is on, so you see there the space heater one is switched on and the water heater one is switched off, is because if you switch your water heater switch on now, nothing will happen because there's nothing plugged into that mains socket just there. So if you didn't know, that just there is the back of your mains, your hookup inlet. All right. If you had a hookup plugged into the vehicle and you switch this one on, the hot water switch, the boiler here would just straight away would start to heat up whatever water is inside it. Okay. The reason you don't want to leave that switch on is because if you plug a hookup cable into the vehicle and forget that you've got that switch on, the boiler is just going to start heating up water whether or not it's full or not. Okay. So if your boiler is empty and you leave that switch on and don't realise, it's basically the same as boiling an empty kettle. You're boiling nothing if there's nothing in it. Okay, so it is so important to leave that off, the hot water switch off, unless you know the boiler's full, which I'll show you how to do in a minute. Unless you know the boiler's full and that you actually want to use it. So that's that one. Leave that one off unless you want to use it and your mains is plugged in. The reason you can leave the space heater switch one on is because when you plug a hookup cable into the van, that doesn't automatically turn the space heater on. All that this switch does, if you plug a hookup cable into the van, this basically just allows you to use this ultra heat switch up here. So you see there it says ultra heat and it says 240 volts in the bottom corner, or actually it says 230 volts, but it's the same thing. So like I said, the reason you can leave that one on is because all that this switch does, the left hand switch there, all that does is allow you to use this dial up here. Okay, so once you plug the hookup cable into the van and you've got that space heater switch on, if you want to warm the van up via the electric, you can quite literally just turn this either at 500, 1000 or 2000, which is the amount of watts. It kind of works out to be about 500 is about 2.5 amps, 1000 is about 4.5, and 2000 is about 8 amps. So in my opinion, I wouldn't even advise you to use 2000 because it's too much power really. If you stick to 1000, it's probably your best bet, and then just basically leave this wherever, about sort of like 5 or 6. All right, so once you've done that, green light will come on and stay on as long as you've got your hookup plugged in and the left hand switch left on. So basically just forget about this switch, the space heater switch on the left hand side, forget that, because you can just leave that on all the time. Plug your hookup cable into the van and then you'll be able to use this switch up here. Leave it on 1000 if you want to use it, and that's it. Remember to turn it off when you're finished. And that's that. So I know when I'm explaining it, I know that it can be quite a lot to kind of remember all at once, but I'm trying to keep it as simple as I can. Essentially, leave the space heater switch alone, forget that. Only use this hot water switch on the right hand side when your hookup's plugged in and this is full of water. Okay? If you don't want to use the mains on it, you can just use the ultra store switch that I used up there, which is lighting it up on gas, like I said. Right. Other bits that I want to show you in here, it's a really important little cupboard actually. You've got your water pump over here. Don't worry about any of the staining on this pipe down here. That's probably because it's been replaced at some point due to a leak. It's not leaking now because, like I said to you, the pump switch is on and it's not running, so there's no leak anywhere. Your boiler drain is this one just here. So if you lifted this little yellow tab upright, so it was vertical, it would drain all the water out from inside the boiler. If you wanted to drain your fresh water tank out, there's probably a little fresh drain inside underneath this little cover in the floor, but you can also do it another way. If you've got your pump switch on, you can lift this lever up, and when you do that, you hear there the pump has kicked in now, so basically it's just pumping water straight out the ground via this boiler drain. Turn it off, the pump will fill the boiler back up, get the pressure and turn itself off. So I'll just show you that happening. There you go. So that's just a little tip. If you can't find a fresh water drain, or if you want to just quickly drain your water out, pull the little lever up there with your pump switch on and it will just pump all the water out of the van. Okay, you've also got on this left hand side here, you've got a white and a red gas isolator. These are gas isolators. So red tells you there is water heater, white, does it say? White, yeah, it's white's written in black obviously I suppose. White is space heater. So if you wanted to isolate either of these two appliances here, you can do it from here. Right, let me pop that away. Do it a bit more properly. Your 240 volt trip switches are these ones here. Charger, you leave this one on, so just leave this little switch here alone. Basically that means that when you plug your hookup cable into the vehicle, your charger will automatically start charging up your leisure battery, so you can leave that where it is. If you plug something dodgy into one of the plug sockets, any of those really will trip, depending on what it is that you or where it is that you plug it in. TV aerial, so your tilt and turn aerial is this one just here, so you can push that up and move it around as and where you need to. Tie that up like that, and then you've got your TV aerial booster just there. Right, so I've shown you how to use your boiler on mains electric in there and on gas. I've also shown you how to use your heating on mains electric, which is the left hand one there that says ultra heat on it. Now I need to show you how your heating works on gas. So on the left hand side here, you've got your fan. The fan, just leave that on 5, it's just easier that way. The fan basically just pumps the air around to any of these circular vents around the vehicle. So I know there's one there, there's one in the bathroom. There may or may not be 1 or 2 more, I don't know, there might not be, because it's only a small van, it might only need a couple. But basically that there pumps the air around to the inside of the vehicle. A lot of these space heaters don't even have the fan on it at all, so they won't have any of those vents around the vehicle. A lot of them are literally just light them up the way I'm going to show you and warm it up, so it's up to you how you do that. So all you need to do, you've got a Piezo Ignitor here. So Piezo means that you just do it yourself basically. Push it down like that. It is a little bit noisy, but that is exactly just the same as all the others. There's, you know, that is just the way they are. So all you have to do, if you're lighting it up from cold, turn it around to sort of 2 or 3, push down on the button on this whilst you're pushing down on this Piezo Ignitor. So if you watch down in this little peephole now, I have to try and get it perfectly so you can see it. There you go. So all I did there was push down on this and push down on the Piezo Ignitor at the same time. I'm still holding on to it at about 2 or 3. You can still see it in there. Now, if I lift up on this and turn it around to sound kind of like 6 or 7, watch what happens. So that there was basically the main flame kicking in. And that's it. Then you just leave that alone. And this space heater will just get hot, you know, really, really hot after about sort of, I don't know, 10 minutes or so. It, you know, doesn't take long at all to get these space heaters hot. Obviously these get super, super hot. You cannot hang your clothes over this or anything like that. It's not like a radiator at home. These little fins just move, you know, just so that you can make sure they're all straight. But yeah, do not hang your socks over this or something. That it will burn your socks. Basically, it's way too hot for that sort of thing. But yeah, that's how that works. And if you want to turn it off, obviously you can have a little look down your peephole there and just double check. But just turn it all the way around to the 0, like that. And then just check down there. It's all off now. All right, and that's it. That's your heating on gas. Your cooker system, I think it's just, oh yeah, so it's a stoves cooker system. So again, like I said to you, you've pretty much got every extra thing you could possibly imagine having, but we'll try and get through it all. So if you had a mains cable plugged into the vehicle, you can use this hot plate over here. If you don't have mains plugged in, the hot plate will not work. There's no way it will work because it's a mains powered ring. So basically, mains cable goes in. You can then choose between 1 all the way through to 6 on this one just here on the left hand side, and that will heat up the hot plate. If you wanted to use either 3 of the top burners, you need to press down on this little igniter switch here, which does the ignition for all the burners, the grill and the oven at the same time. Push and hold on that, and then basically just choose which one you want to use. So you've got your bottom left one here, so push in and around to the left to get the gas to come through. And you've got bottom right, top right, these 2 here. You've then got, like I said to you, the ignition switch does the grill and the oven as well. So if you wanted to use the grill, ignition switch on, and then it's this one just here. And if you wanted to use the oven, ignition switch, and this one just here. All right, obviously the flame comes out right at the very back of the oven. It's a gas oven. Yeah. Leave your grill door open when you're using it, but that's just common knowledge, the same as at home. A couple more gas isolators under here. So you've got a green one and a blue one. green there says hob and oven, and blue says fridge. So if you want to isolate either of these two appliances, you can do that from just there. The plug just here, so if you had a problem with your hob ring up there, your 240 volt hob ring, that's what that plug there is for. So if you wanted to unplug it, you can do it just from there. It's nice and easy. Otherwise, it's just kind of gas pipes and things down there. This cupboard just here, again, not really much to show you. You've got kind of like a cutlery drawer there, the tails and the waste pipe there. That's all for your tap from your sink, sorry. And then pretty much the last thing I want to show you is your fridge. So it's a 3-way fridge. You can see there at the moment, you can see the little amber coloured bit up there in the gas symbol. So basically, if I switch it off now, in this position here, the fridge is completely and utterly off. Nothing at all is cooling it down. If you wanted to light it up and cool it down via the gas system, which will take a good few hours to actually start getting cold, one to the right, it will light up on its own and just leave it, that's it. If you had a hookup cable plugged into the vehicle, it takes about the same amount of time to get the fridge cold. Turn it one more around to the right so that you're facing this symbol just here, and then basically the element in the back of the fridge will start to warm up and then in turn cool the fridge down. So the mains element and the gas is the other 2 ways that you get the fridge cold from not cold, if that makes sense. So if you fill your fridge up with stuff that you want to get cold, either use your mains or your gas. Once it is cold, you can then switch it over to your 12 volt symbol, which is for when you're driving only. All right, so basically, if you're going to go on holiday tomorrow, or if I was going to go on holiday in this tomorrow, I would put all of my stuff in the fridge tonight, put it light it up either on gas, or put the hookup cable into the van and put it on the hookup there, and then by the morning, the fridge and everything inside it would be nice and cold, and then I'd switch over to 12 volt for when I'm driving. When I get to where I'm going, I'll then switch it back over to one of the other 2 to keep it properly cold. The reason that you have to do that with the 12 volt, you have to get it cold first, isn't because this has some kind of dodgy fridge, it's just the way that they work. If you shoved a load of warm stuff inside this fridge and didn't pre-cool it and just switched it down to the 12 volt and drove off, I can guarantee you that when you get to where you're going, everything inside that fridge will still be warm or hot. The 12 volt only holds a temperature. It doesn't really get it cold on its own. It's not powerful enough to do that. So get it cold first, either via the gas or the mains, and then just switch over to 12 volt when you're driving. You've got a little lock mechanism up there, so you can lock it like that and it won't come open, mainly for when you're driving, really. But yeah, so you've also got a microwave up here. So just up there, it's just a standard microwave, to be honest with you. Anyway, so I wanted to quickly say to you about your mains electric, didn't I? So essentially the reason it's so important to hook up on mains, it's obviously possible to go without it, because it's the kind of, you know, the original reason for going around, you know, going camping and things was to sort of wild camp, and that's fine because you've got your leisure battery there, which will keep everything working for quite a period of time. But if you constantly use this vehicle without putting any charge into that battery, so for example putting a hookup cable into the van and charging it up, essentially what will happen over a certain period of time is that leisure battery will just go flat, and you won't be able to use your lights, you won't be able to light your fridge up, you won't be able to do anything really. So the 2 ways of charging your leisure battery up, like I said to you already, as soon as you plug a hookup cable into the van, because you've got this little red switch in the on position here, the minute you plug a hookup cable into the van, the leisure battery down there will just be charging up straight away. So the whole time you've got hookup in the van, you haven't got to worry about the battery's charge at all, because it's just constantly being kept at sort of 14 volts. So that's the best way, really. The other way to charge the battery up is to just take the van for a nice long drive. You've got something called a split relay in pretty much all motorhomes. So essentially, start the engine up. The alternator obviously charges up your engine battery, but the split relay then takes the charge from there directly through to your auxiliary leisure battery as well. So as soon as you start the engine up and start driving it, both your engine and leisure are both being charged up at the same time. So either take it for a long drive or plug a hookup cable into it for a few hours or so, or however long, and you know, you haven't got to worry about your charge anymore. So they're all just tips really. Bathroom is all pretty simple stuff. Your sort of shower opens up like this, and then the door from the actual door here unclips and then meets up with that to make the sort of shower room. So that's that. As again, there's another sort of classic Swift Bessecarr thing to do. I'll just pull that over. The last thing really is your toilet. So literally couldn't be any easier, to be fair to you, but pull this little lever down here to open the flap up to allow whatever's in here to go into your cassette, and then close it back by pulling it over. The pump for the flush, push this button down, that fills the toilet up, and then you can just drain it out. So open the flap to drain it out, close it back over. Really important to close that flap back over as well, because you'll get a bad smell coming back into the van if you don't. But also, if you leave the flap open, you won't be able to take the toilet cassette out from outside because it locks it in place. So that's that. Bathroom light switch is this one just here, and that's it. So I think I've pretty much shown you everything I can. If there's anything else you think I've missed out or anything you want going through again, then just let us know, obviously. But yeah, otherwise I look forward to seeing you soon to collect your van. Thanks very much.